Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We are talking about the results of Tuesday's election with our panel this morning. The wonderful Mark Wagner, State Senator, District 2, Republican. Urban Planner Tyron Cunningham, great feet on the ground kind of guy. Really glad to have him around. And Peter Yavagi, currently the Lucas County Administrator, but longtime Democrat, longtime elected official. Nice to have you guys here. So we're really talking about the ability for folks to make a commitment, but I heard some need to sort of segue into some local discussion.
It is the local discussion. It is about the local public debate of how our domestic agenda is framed here in our local communities. Good education, quality education, looking at affordable health care in this country. How do we in this local community have those same rights, those privileges bestowed upon us too, are bringing our public voices to bear so that we can ensure that these types of policies affect our quality of life and bring our quality of life to a standard through our elected representatives of our communities.
It's interesting to see what the number of levies, for instance, and issues that were on the ballot in Lucas County. And there were some folks in the political realm who said vote no on everything.
Yes.
Thank God for the voters,
Yeah.
okay, who picked and chose, okay. A fair number of the levies passed because of exactly what you had said before, Donnie, and that is the quality of life issues for everyone. The public school levy failed fairly strongly. There's a real challenge there, and I absolutely believe we simply cannot abandon public education. America's genius has always been its universal education. But beyond that, a couple of other things. Look at this issue about withdrawing from TARTA. Okay, the public debate of is public transit a public good for everyone. You know, both Sylvania Township and Spencer Township rejected withdrawing from TARTA. And then if you notice, Perrysburg, who withdrew from TARTA, they rejected the levy to put a system in there. And you can't live in isolation. We're a community. And so the decision-making process and all of that became very important as well.
And talking about bipartisanship and crossing party lines, one of the things would be nice too in Lucas County if we had some Republicans.
You know, I purposefully didn't say it.
I didn't say that either, but I was thinking, where are you guys?
You were setting me up at that long.
Sorry.
Right. So, you know, I think
chose not to go there.
in our community too. You know, I think it is good to have two strong parties.
Absolutely.
And it gives you better candidates, it gives you better campaigns,
Absolutely.
it gives you more focus on the issues. And last night was a very discouraging night for the Lucas County Republican Party. We didn't win a single race. Our closest one was 55-45.
Why do you think?
I don't have an answer, Donnie. It's just...
You have about 3 hours.
About 3 hours. You know, I got a lot of different answers.
A lot of different answers. Yeah.
But it's you know, it's difficult. You know, first of all, just the partisan breakdown in Lucas County is always cutting against Republicans, but Republicans can win.
Yes.
You know, we've had a Republican county commissioner in the last 10 years. We've had a long history of Republicans in the auditor's office. We've had Republican success with our judicial candidates, but we just haven't been able to break into sort of county government recently. And you know, campaigns are harder than they seem, and they're easier than they seem. They're harder than they seem. They take a lot of work, and they take a lot of organization. They take a lot of fundraising and a lot of having the right candidate and the right message.
Sure.
And we really need to do a better job of that. You know, we need to run better campaigns. We need to make it more of a race, and I think the community really benefits by that
I would
too.
agree with that. Do you think, though, that Romney's management, Governor Romney's management of his campaign was a negative or a positive reflection on Republicans?
I think it was positive. I think if you look at the race in Ohio, it was 50-48. And I think Governor Romney you know, got his message out. Not every Republican agreed with every position that he took. But I think he ran a good campaign. I mean, I think he was organized, he was structured. I mean, he got his message out. He was able to do what he wanted to do. What he was running against is a political juggernaut on the other side.
I think that's true. I think, though, I think that he did a fairly good job of shooting himself in the foot in some fairly fatal ways, though, early on. The 47%
Well, that was-
statement is never going to
that
die.
came out later.
It's never going to die. And
Right.
and you know what?
Yeah.
I think what happens is I've been hearing on CNN last night, CNN this morning, all of this discussion about Republicans needing to regroup, to take a look, to redefine themselves, because one of the outcomes of this election has been at least the perception that Republicans are disengaged from the real issues of the country and the real issues of people. What do you think?
One of the big challenges that we have is we have to have a bigger tent, and we have to include many more people in the Republican Party
good answer.
than what we're
answer.
doing. Because at its core, being a conservative is an optimistic view. It believes that the greatness of our country is in its people, not its government. And if we empower people, if we give them the chance to make decisions, if we give them the opportunities to succeed, if we reward hard work, we'll all be better.
Yeah.
And if we can get that message across without doing it in a way that comes across as angry
Or arrogant.
And just go back to the fundamentals of who we are and what we are. And this is a party we should be proud of. I mean, this is a party of Abraham Lincoln, of Teddy Roosevelt, of Ronald Reagan, of people who have done great things. And I think one of the messages from this election, both locally and nationally, is we have to have a bigger tent. We have to
have a
be
bigger tent.
more inclusive, and we have to be optimistic.
I think the reality is this.
We have
is
4
that
minutes, guys, so
I
be
will
concise.
I will try to be as
Be concise, Peter.
I will try to be as concise as I can. See, now I just lost 20 seconds. but that is the kind of dialogue that needs to happen. The
Right.
problem is that in many ways, you have a very rigid conservative philosophy that's out there, and in many ways, a fairly rigid liberal philosophy that's out there. And so there's not the opportunity to find common ground. I think one of the successes of the Democratic Party has been, I don't like the term big tent, but I do like the term that they really do understand the diversity of this community in this country and the changes that occur in this country. You know this. And this will be very fast, but 10 years after I came to America as an immigrant, I was involved in the politics of this country. The opportunity to be able to do that and to be valued in that process, I think is something that's so phenomenal and so important that you just have to address it. And America has had this sort of nativist approach over its 200 and some years. How you begin that dialogue and how both political parties, all politics ultimately is local.
Right.
And I'm not going to comment on the Republican Party's local structure and process,
That's
but
another
both of us,
discussion.
honestly,
Yeah.
the Democratic leadership and good Republican leadership and Democratic
Yeah.
leadership, and notice the way I've used my hands in the wrong direction, both of them have to acknowledge that and begin to work on it.
I think you're absolutely right. We've got about 2 seconds left, and 2 minutes left actually, and I want quickly the impact of minorities in this process was undeniable. 7 out of every 10 Hispanic votes went to the president. Hispanics were 10% of the overall voting population this year. I don't have the number on African American votes, but I can't imagine that they are significantly less than they were during the last season. Is this enough to cause shifting in our focus as politicians, as elected officials?
Well, as a Republican, it should, because to go back to what I said earlier, the party of a big tent. The issues about being a conservative don't cross gender, they don't cross race, they don't cross religion. It's how you view, really how you get forward in the world. And Republicans look at ideas of empowerment and of choice and of, government's not going to solve the problem. The individual should really help solve the problem. And that's an approach that really crosses all of those lines. And over the last couple of years, we haven't done a very good job of being an inclusive party. We have really told you what to be afraid of and what to be against. And we need to get back to our optimistic view and really our Republican roots and be proud of a conservative approach, but also be proud of our history and our tradition and to grow the tent.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good point.
And
Quickly,
that's what
please.
we're looking at with a broad, with the reflection of President Obama retaining his seat We're looking at broad prosperity. There is a role for government to play in this broad prosperity to provide that quality education. The Pell Grants that were afforded to families to continue to use those tools available to them to bring themselves up to a middle class. It's about a longer economic agenda to help everyday American families to continue to educate themselves, continue to stay healtty so that they won't
Certainly
lose
a clarion
time.
call, though, for a different focus or a more inclusive focus in this campaign. Peter, I know you have final comments, but you don't get to say them because we're out of time. So sorry. We got to go away. We will be right back.